Blackjack by Rudyard Kipling. To the wake av Tim O'Hara came company. All St. Patrick's Alley was there to see Robert Buchanan. As the three musketeers share their silver tobacco and liquor together, as they protect each other in barracks or camp, and as they rejoice together over the joy of one, so do they divide their sorrows. When authoress' irrepressible tongue has brought him into cells for a season, or lyrate has run amuck through his kit, and accoutrements or Mulvaney has indulged in strong waters, and under their influence reproved his commanding officer, you can see the trouble in the faces of the untouched too, and the rest of the regiment know that comment or jest is unsafe generally. The three avoid orderly room and the corner shop that follows, leaving both to the young bloods who have not sown their wild oats, but there are occasions. For instance, authoress was sitting on the drawbridge of the main gate of Fort Amara with his hands in his pockets, and his pipe bowl down in his mouth. Lerid was lying at full length on the turf of the glacis, kicking his heels in the air, and I came round the corner and asked for Mulvaney. Authoress spat into the ditch and shook his head. No good seein' I am now, said authoress, ease a bloomin' camel. Listen. I heard on the flags of the veranda, opposite to the cells, which are close to the guardroom, a measured step that I could have identified in the tramp of an army. There were 20 paces, crescendo a pause, and then 20 diminuend. That's I am, said authoress. My God, that's I am all for a bloomin' button. You could see your face, in an a bit o' lip, that a bloomin' harkingel would a gov back. Mulvaney was doing pactral, was compelled, that is to say, to walk up and down for certain hours in full marching order, with rifle, bayonet, ammunition, knapsack, and overcoat, and his offense was being dirty on parade. I nearly fell into the fort ditch with astonishment and wrath, for Mulvaney is the smartest man that ever mounted guard, and would as soon think of turning out uncleanly as of dispensing with his trousers. Who was the sergeant that checked him? I asked. Mullins, o' course, said authoress. There ain't no other man would whip I am on the peg, so, but Mullins ain't a man, he's a dirty little pig scraper, that's what he is. What did Mulvaney say? He's not the make of man to take that quietly. Said been better for I am, if Ed shut his mouth. Lord, ow, we laughed. Sergeant, he says ye say I am dirty. Well, says he, when your wife lets you blow your own nose for yourself, perhaps y'all know what dirt is. You're a imperfectly educated sergeant, says he, and then we fell in, but after prayed he was up, and Mullins was swearing himself black in the face at orderly room that Mulvaney had called I am a swine and Lord knows what. All you know, Mullins L. Ave is e'd broke in one o' these days. He's too big a bloomin' liar for ordinary consumption. 3 hours can and kit, says the colonel, not for bane dirty on parade, but for avin said somethin' to Mullins, though I do not believe, says he. You said what? He said you said, and Mulvaney fell away sayin' nothin'. You know, he never speaks to the colonel for fear o' gettin' himself fresh copped. Mullins, a very young and very much married sergeant, whose manners were partly the result of innate depravity and partly of imperfectly digested board school, came over the bridge and most rudely asked authoress what he was doing. Me said authoress, "Ow, I am waiting for my sea mission, seed it common along yit." Mullins turned purple and passed on. There was the sound of a gentle chuckle from the glacis where Leroyd lay. He expects to get his sea mission some day, explained authoress. God help the mess that Ave to put there, and's into the same kiddy as I am. What time do you make it, Sir Fower? Mulvaney, LL be out in half an hour. You don't want to buy a dog, sir, do you? A pup you can trust off Rampur by the colonel's ground. Authoress, I answered sternly, for I knew what was in his mind. Do you mean to say that? I didn't mean to arx money o' you anyhow, said authoress. It a sold you the dog good and cheap, but, I know Mulvaney, LL wants something after we've walked I am off, and I ain't got nothin', nor he hasn't neither. I'd sooner sell you the dog, sir, struth I would. A shadow fell on the drawbridge, and authoress began to rise into the air, lifted by a huge hand upon his collar. Onything but tea, brass, said Lerid quietly, as he held the Londoner over the ditch. Onything but tea, brass. Authoress, my son, I've got 1 rupee 8 honours of my own. He showed 2 coins, and replaced authoress on the drawbridge rail. Very good, I said. Where are you going to? Goin' to walk I am off, when he comes out 2 miles or 3 or fower, said Orthoris. The footsteps within ceased. I heard the dull thud of a knapsack falling on a bedstead, followed by the rattle of arms. 10 minutes later, Mulvaney, faultlessly dressed, his lips tight, and his face as black as a thunderstorm, stalked into the sunshine on the drawbridge. Leroyd and Orthoris sprang from my side and closed in upon him, both leaning toward as horses lean upon the pole. In an instant, they had disappeared down the sunken road to the cantonments, and I was left alone. Mulvaney had not seen fit to recognize me, so I knew that his trouble must be heavy upon him. I climbed one of the bastions and watched the figures of the 3 musketeers grow smaller and smaller across the plain. They were walking as fast as they could put foot to the ground, and their heads were bowed. They fetched a great compass round the parade ground, skirted the cavalry lines, and vanished in the belt of trees that fringes the low land by the river. I followed slowly and sighted them, dusty, sweating, but still keeping up their long swinging tramp on the river bank. They crashed through the forest reserve, headed toward the bridge of boats, and presently established themselves on the bow of one of the pontoons. I rowed cautiously till I saw 3 puffs of white smoke rise and die out in the clear evening air, and knew that peace had come again at the bridgehead. They waved me forward with gestures of welcome. "Tie up your oars," shouted Orthoris, "and come on, sir. We're all goin' 'ome in this 'ere bloomin' boat. From the bridgehead to the forest officer's bungalow is but a step." The messman was there, and would see that a man held my horse. Did the sahib require aught else? A peg or beer? Richie Sahib had left half a dozen bottles of the latter, but since the sahib was a friend of Richie Sahib, and he, the messman, was a poor man, I gave my order quietly and returned to the bridge. Mulvaney had taken off his boots and was dabbling his toes in the water. Leroyd was lying on his back on the pontoon, and Orthoris was pretending to row with a big bamboo. "I'm an ood fool," said Mulvaney reflectively, "draggin' you 2 out here because I was under the black dogsilkin like a child, me that was solderin' when Mullins, and be damned to him, was queelin' on a counterpin for 5 shillin' a weekin', that not paid. Boys, I've took you 5 miles out, av natural pervarsity few. What's the odds so long as you're a 'appy," said Orthoris, applying himself afresh to the bamboo, "as well air as anywhere else." Leroyd held up a rupee and an atana bit, and shook his head sorrowfully. 5 mile from T-canteen, all along, oh Mulvaney's blasted pride. "I know ut," said Mulvaney penitently, "why will ye come wid me, and yet I wud be mortial sorry if ye did note any time, though I am ood enough to know better, but I will do penance. I will take a da trink av water." Orthoris squeaked shrilly. The butler of the forest bungalow was standing near the railings, with a basket, uncertain how to clamber down to the pontoon. "Might a knowed you'd a got liquor out o' bloomin' desert, sir," said Orthoris gracefully to me, then to the messman, "Easy with them. Their bottles, they're a worth their weight in gold. Jock, ye long-armed beggar, get out o' that and hike 'em down." Leroyd had the basket on the pontoon in an instant, and the 3 musketeers gathered round it with dry lips. They drank my health in due and ancient form, and thereafter tobacco tasted sweeter than ever. They absorbed all the beer, and disposed themselves in picturesque attitudes to admire the setting sun. "O man," speaking for a while. Mulvaney's head dropped upon his chest, and we thought that he was asleep. "What on earth did you come so far for?" I whispered to Orthoris. "To walk I am off, o' course. When e's been checked, we a lose walks I am off. E ain't fit to be spoke to those times, ner. E ain't fit to leave alone neither, so we takes I am till E is." Mulvaney raised his head and stared straight into the sunset. "I had my rifle," said he dreamily, "and I had my bayonet, and Mullins came round the corner, and he looked in my face and grinned dishpitful. 'You can't blow your own nose,' says he. Now I cannot tell what Mullins' experience may ha' been, but mother av God, he was nearer to his death that minute than I have iver been to minnind. That's less than the thickness av a hair." "Yes," said Orthoris calmly, "you'd look fine with all your buttons took off, and the band in front o' you walkin' round slow time. We're both front rank men, me and Jock. When the rigments in Hollow Square bloomin' fine, you'd look the Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away heasy. With that there drop, blessed be the name o' the Lord." He gulped in a quaint and suggestive fashion. Mullins Watts Mullins, said Learoyd slowly odd. Take a company o Mullins my hand, behind me sitha Mulvaney, don't be a fool. You were not checked for what you did not do, and made a mark, after 'twas for less than that the Tyrone would ha sent O'Hara to hell instead, let him go by his own choosin' win. Rafferty shot him, retorted Mulvaney. And who stopped the Tyrone from doing it, I asked. That old fool who's sorry he didn't stick the pig. Mullins, his head dropped again. When he raised it he shivered, and put his hands on the shoulders of his two companions. Ye've walked the divil out, me boys, said he. Ortheris shot out the red-hot dottle of his pipe on the back of the hairy fist. They say L's otter than that, said he, as Mulvaney swore aloud. You be warned, so look yonder, pointed across the river to a ruined temple. Me and you and I am, he indicated me by a jerk of his head, was there one day when I made a bloomin' show o' myself. You and I am, stopped me doin' such an high, was ony wishful for to desert, you are mackin' a bigger bloomin' show o' yourself now. Don't mind him, Mulvaney, I said. Dinah shad won't let you hang yourself yet a while, and you don't intend to try it either. Let's hear about the Tyrone. And O'Hara, Rafferty shot him for fooling with his wife. What happened before that? There's no fool like an ood fool. You know you can do anything wid me when I am talking. Did I say I would like to cut Mullins' liver out? I deny the imputation for fear that Ortheris here would report me. You would tip me into the river, would you? Sit quiet, little man. Anyways, Mullins is not worth the trouble av an extry prayed, and I will trate him wid outrages, contempt the Tyrone and O'Hara. And the Tyrone begad ood days are hard to bring back into the mouth, but they're always inside the head. Followed a long pause. O'Hara was a Roman 553, though I saved him for the honor av the regiment from his death. That time, I say it now, he was a de Villa, long, bold, black-haired Roman 553. Which way? Asked Ortheris. Women. Then I know another's. Not more than in reason, if you mane me, ye warped walking stick. I have been young, and for why should I not have tuck what I could? Did I ever win? I was corporal, use the rise av my ranquin step, and that taken away mores the sorrow and the fault, av medo prosecute a nefarious intrigue. As O'Hara did I win? I was corporal, lay my spite upon a man, and make his life a dog's life from day to day. Did I lie as O'Hara lied, till the young ones in the Tyrone turned white with the fear av the judgment av God, killin' them all in a lump as Ut killed the woman at Devizes. I did not, I have sinned my sins, and I have made my confession, and Father Victor knows the worst av me. O'Hara was tuck before he could spake on Rafferty's doorstep, and no man knows the worst av him, but this much I know. The Tyrone was recruited any fashion in the ood days, a draft from Connemara, draft from Portsmouth, a draft from Kerry, and that was a blazin' bad drafter there. And everywhere but the large av them was warish, black warish. Now there are warish and warish, the good are good as the best, but the bad are worst than the worst. Teased this way, they clog together in pieces as fast as thieves, and no one knows what they will do till one turns informer and the gang is bruck. But Ut begins again a day later, meetin' in holes and corners and swearin' bloody oaths and tickin' a man in the back, and runnin' away and thin waitin' for the blood money on the reward paper stow. See if Ut's worth enough. Those are the black warish and teas, they that bring disgrace upon the name av Warland, and thim I wud killers. I nearly killed one onst. But to resume my room, 'twas before I was married, was wid 12, av the scum, av the earth's pickins, av the gutter main men that wud neither laugh nor talk, nor yet get trunk, as a man should. They thried some av their dogs thricks on me, but I trew a line round my cot, and the man that transgressed Ut went into hospital for 3 days good. O'Hara had put his spite on the room, was my colour sergeant, and nothing could we do to plaise him. I was younger than I am now, and I tuck what I got in the way av dressing down, and punishment drill wid my tongue in my cheek. But it was different with the others, and why I cannot say, except that some men are born main and go to dirty murder, where a fist is more than enough. After a while they changed their tune to me, and was desprit freenly all 12, av thim cursin' O'Hara in chorus. I says I O'Hara's a divil, and I am not for denying Ut. But is he the only man in the world? Let him go hell get tired, av findin' our kit foul, and our countriments improperly kep. We will not let him go, says they. Then take him, says I and a dashed poor yield you will get for your throuble. Is he not misconducting himself with Slimmer's wife, says another. She's common to the rigment, says Roman 1 what has made ye this particular on a suddent. Has he not put his spite on the roomful, avus can we do anything that he will not check us for, says another. That's through, says Roman 1, will he not help us to do aught, says another, a big bold man like you. I will break his head upon his shoulders, av he puts hand on me, says Roman 1, I will give him the lie, av he says that I am dirty, and I would not mind ducking him in the artillery troughs, if ut was not that I am thryin for my sh stripes. Is that all ye will do, says another, have ye no more spunk than that ye blood-drawn calf? Blood-drawn I may be, says I, gettin' back to my cot and mackin' my line round ut, but ye know that the man who comes across this mark will be more blood-drawn than me. No man gives me the name in my mouth, I says, understand, I will have no part wid you in anything ye do, nor will I raise my fist to my superior. Is any one common on, says Roman 1, they made no move though I gave them full time, but stood growlin' and snarlin' together at one end av the room. I tuck up my cap and went out to canteen thinkin' no little av myself, and there I grew most ondecently da trunk in my legs. My head was all reasonable. Hooligan, I says to a man in company that was by way av bane a friend av mine, I'm overtuck from the belt down, do you give me the touch av your shoulder to preserve my formation and march me across the ground into the high grass, ill sleep ut off there, says I, and Hooligan's dead now, but good he was while he lasted walked wid me, giving me the touch when I went wide ontil we came to the high grass, and my faith, the sky and the earth was fair rollin' under me. I made for where the grass was thickest, and there I slept off my liquor wid an easy conscience. I did not desire to come on books too frequent, my character having been potless for the good half avy. When I roused, the da trink was dyin' out in me, and I felt as though a sheket had littered in my mouth. I had not learned to hood my liquor wid comfort in thim days. Tease little better I am now. I will get Hooligan to pour a bucket over my head, thinks I, and I would ha risen, but I heard someone say Mulvaney can take the blame av ut for the backslidin' hound he is. Oho, says I, and my head rang like a guardroom gong. What is the blame that this young man must take to oblige Tim Volmia, for 'twas Tim Volmia that poke. I turned on my belly and crawled through the grass, a bit at a time, to where the splash came from. There was the 12 av my room, sittin' down in a little patch, the dhry grass wavin' above their heads, and the sin av black murder in their hearts. I put the stuff aside to get a clear view. What's that, says one man, jumpin' up. A dog, says Volmia, you're a nice hand to this job. As I said, Mulvaney will take the blame of ut comes to a pinch. Te's had to swear a man's life away, says a young one. Thank ye for that, thinks Roman 1 now. What the divil are you paragins conthrivin' against me? Te's as easy as drinking your quart, says Volmia. At 7 or thereon O'Hara will come across to the married quarters, goin' to call on Slimmies wife, the swine. 1 av us'll pass the word to the room, and we tart the divil and all av a shinelafin and crackin' on and throwin' our boots about. Thin O'Hara will come to give us the order to be quiet. The more by token because the room lamp will be knocked over in the larkin, he will take the straight road to the inn door where there's the lamp in the veranda, and that'll bring him clear against the light. As he stands, he will not be able to look into the dhark. 1 av us will loose off, and a close shot ut will be in shame to the man that misses. 'Twill be Mulvaney's rifle, that is at the head av the rack. There's no mistakin' longstocked, crossed bitch even in the dhark. The thief misnamed my udfirin piece out av jealousy. I was persuaded av that'n ut made me more angry than all. But Volmia goes on, O'Hara will da trop, and by the time the light's lit again, there'll be some 6 av us on the chest, av Mulvaney cryin' murder and rape. Mulvaney's cot is near the inn door, and the mockin' rifle will be lyin' under him. When we've knocked him over, we know, and all the rigment knows, that Mulvaney has given O'Hara more lip than any man av us. Will there be any doubt at the court-martial would 12 honest sojabhoys swear away the life av a dear, quiet, swata-timpered man, such as is Mulvaney wid his line av pipe clay round his cot, threatenin' us wid murd her, av we overstepped ut, as we can truthful testify. Mary Mother av mercy, thinks I to myself, it is this, to have an unruly number and fists, fit to use the sneakin' hounds. The big drops ran down my face, for I was wake wid the liquor, and had not the full av my wits about me. I laid till and heard thim working themselves up to swear my life, by tellin' tales. Av every time I had put my mark on one or another in my faith they was few, that was not so distinguished 'twas all in the way av fair fight, though for neither did I raise my hand, except when they had provoked me to ut. "'Tis all well,' says one av thim, "but who's to do this shootin'? If what Mather says, Vulmia T's Mulvaney, will do that at the court-martial. He will, so says the man, but whose hand is put to the trigger in the room. Ha'll do ut, says Vulmia looking round, but divil a man answered. They began to dispute, till Kiss, that was always playin' Boyle 5, says thry the cards wid, that he opined his tunic and tuck out the greasy palamers, and they all fell in with the notion. Delon, says Vulmia wid a big rattlin' oath, and the black curse, av Sheelig come to the man that will not do his duty as the cards say. Amen. Black Jack is the master, says Kiss dealin' Black Jack sore I should expatiate to you, is the ace av pades, which from time immemorial has been intimately connect wid battle murder and sudden death. Once Kiss dealt and there was no sign, but the men was white wid the workins av their souls twice Kiss dealt, and there was a grey shine on their cheeks like the mess, av an egg 3 times Kiss dealt, and they was blue. Have he not lost him, says Vulmia whippin' the sweat on him, let's ha done quick ut, is says Kiss trowin' him the card, and ut fell face up on his knee. Black Jack. Then they all cackled wid laughin' duty thrippence, says one av thim, and damned cheap at that price, but I could see they all trew a little away from Vulmia, and left him sittin' playin' with the card. Vulmia says no word for a while, but licked his lips ways thin, he threw up his head, and made the men swear by every oath known to stand by him, not alone in the room, but at the court-martial that was to set on me. He took off 5 av the biggest to stretch me on my cot when the shot was fired, and another man he took off to put out the light, and yet another to load my rifle. He would not do that himself, and that was queer, for 'twas but a little thing considerin'. Then they swore over again that they would not betray one another, and crept out av the grass in different ways 2 by 2. A mercy ut was that they did not come on me. I was sick wid fear in the pit av my stomach, sick. After they was all gone, I went back to canteen and called for a quart to put a thought in me. Vulmia was there drinkin' heavy and politeful to me beyond reason. What will I doff, what will I do, thinks I to myself, when Vulmia went away. Presently the armourer sergeant comes in stiffin' and crackin', on not pleased wid anyone because he, the Martini Henry Bain, new to the rigment in those days. We used to play the mischief wid her arrangements. 'Twas a long time before I could get out av the way av thryin' to pull back the backside and turnin' her over after Farinas, if she was a Snyder. What tailormen do they give me to work wid, says the armourer sergeant. Here's Hogan his nose flat, as a table laid by for a week, and every company sendin' their rums in knocked to small shiverings. What's wrong wid Hogan, sergeant, says Roman. One wrong, says the armourer sergeant. I showed him, as though I had been his mother, the way av trippin' a tinny, and he struck her clane and easy. I told him to put her to again and fire a blank into the blowpit, to show how the dirt hung on the groovin'. He did that, but he did not put in the pin av the fallen block, and av course when he fired he was struck by the block jumpin' clear. Well for him 'twas, but a blank a full charge would ha cut his eye out. I looked a thrifle wiser than a boiled sheep's head. How's that, sergeant, says Roman. One this way, ye blunderin' man, and don't you be doin' ut, says he wid, that he shows me a waster action breach av her all cut away, to show the insidian so pleased. He was to grumble that he demonstrated what Hogan had done twice over, and that comes av not knowin' the wepping you're a pervided wid, says he. Thank ye, sergeant, says I will come to you again for further information. Ye will not, says he, keep your clanin' rod away from the breechpin, or you will get into throuble. I went outside, and I could ha danced wid delight for the grandeur av ut. They will load my rifle. Good luck to thim while I am away, thinks I, and back I went to the canteen to give them their clear chance. The canteen was fillin' wid men at the end av the day. I made feign to be far gone in da trink, and one by one, all my roomful came in wid Volmia. I went away walking thick and heavy, but not so thick and heavy that any one could ha tuck me sure and through. There was a cartridge gone from my pouch, and lying snug in my rifle, I was hot wid rage against them all, and I worried the bullet out wid my teeth as fast as I could the room bane empty. Then I tucked my boot in the clanin rod, and knocked out the pin av the fallen block o' 'twas music. When that pin rolled on the floor, I put out into my pouch, and stuck a dab av dirt on the holes in the plate, putting the fallen block back. That'll do your business, Volmia, says I, lying easy on the cot. Come and sit on my chest. The whole room av you and I will take you to my bosom for the biggest divils that I've cheated halter. I would have no mercy on Volmia, his oi, or his life little I cared. At dusk they came back, the 12 av thim, and they had all been drinking. I was shammin' sleep. On the cot one man went outside in the veranda whin. He whistled. They began to rage round the room and carry on tremendous, but I never want to hear men laugh, as they did scalarkin to 'twas like mad jackals. Top that blasted noise, says O'Hara in the dark, and pop goes the room lamp. I could hear O'Hara running up, and the rattling av my rifle in the rack, and the men breathin' heavy. As they stood round my cot, I could see O'Hara in the light av the veranda lamp. And thin I heard the crack av my rifle. She cried loud, poor darlint bane mishandled. Next minute 5 men were hooding me down. Go easy, I says, what's that all about? Thin Volmia on the floor raised a howl you could hear from one end av cantonments to the other. I am dead, I am butchered, I am blind, says he. Saints have mercy on my sinful soul, sinned, for Father Constant, oh sinned, for Father Constant, and let me go clean, by that I knew he was not so dead as I could ha wished. O'Hara picks up the lamp in the veranda wid a hand as steady as a rest. What damn dog's thrick is this av yours, says he, and turns the light on Tim Volmia, that was women in blood from top to toe. The fallen block had sprung free behin a full charge av powder good care. I tucked to bite down the brass, after talking out the bullet, that there might be something to give out full worthin, had cut Tim from the lip to the corner av the right eye, lavin the eyelid in tatters, and so up and along by the forehead to the hair. 'Twas more av a rackin' plough, if you will understand, than a clean-cut and niver. Did I see a man bleed, as Volmia did the da trink, and the stew that he was in pumped the blood strong. The minute the men sittin' on my chest heard O'Hara spackin', they scattered each one to his cot and cried out very politeful, what is ut, sergeant? What is ut, says O'Hara, shackin' Tim. Well and good, do you know what ut is, ye skulkin' ditchlerkin dogs? Get a dooley and take this whimperin' scut away. There will be more heard av ut than any av you will care for. Volmia sat up, rockin' his head in his hand, and moanin' for Father Constant. Be done, says O'Hara, draggin' him up by the hair. You're a none so dead that you cannot go 15 years for thryin' to shoot me. I did not, says Volmia, I was shootin' meself. That's queer, says O'Hara, for the front av my jacket is black wid your powder. He tuck up the rifle that was still warm and began to laugh. I'll make your life hell to you, says he, for attempted murder and cappin' your rifle improperly. You'll be hanged first, and thin put under stoppages for 4:15. The rifle's done for, says he. Why tease my rifle, says I, comin' up to look. Volmia, ye divil, what were you doin' wid her? Answer me that. Lave me alone, says Volmia, I am dyin'. I'll wait till you're a better, says I, and thin we two will talk ut out umbrageous. O'Hara pitched Tim into the dooley, none too tinder, but all the boys kept by their cots, which was not the sign av innocent men. I was huntin' everywhere for my fallen block, but not findin' ut at all. I never found ut. Now what will I do, says O'Hara, swinging the veranda light in his hand and looking down the room. I had hate and contempt av O'Hara, and I have now dead though he is. But for all that will I say, he was a brave man. He is baskin' in purgatory this tide. But I wish he could hear that when he stood looking down the room and the boys shivered before the oi av him. I knew him for a brave man, and I liked him so. What will I do, says O'Hara again, and we heard the voice av a woman low and soft in the veranda. 'Twas Slim's wife, come over at the shot, sittin' on one av the benches, and scarce able to walk. Oh, Denny, Denny, dear, says she, have they kilt you? O'Hara looked down the room again and showed his teeth to the gum. Then he spat on the flare. "You ain't not worth ut," says he, "light that lamp, ye dogs, and wid that he turned away, and I saw him walking off wid Slimmer's wife. She thryin' to wipe off the powder black on the front av his jacket wid her handkerchief. A brave man, you are thinks I a brave man and a bad woman." No one said a word for a time. They was all ashamed past spash. "Ef what do you think he will do," says one, "av them at last he knows we're all in ut." "Are we so," says I from my cot, "the man that says that to me will be hurt? I do not know," says I, "ef what underhand divilment you have contrived. But by what I've seen I know that you cannot commit murder wid another man's rifle such. Shacking cowards, you are. I'm going to slape," I says, "and you can blow my head off while I lay. I did not slape though for a long time, can ye wonder?" Next morn, the news was through all the regiment, and there was nothing that the men did not tell. O'Hara reports fair and easy that Volmia was come to grief through tamperin' wid his rifle in barracks, all for to show the mechanism, and by my soul, he had the impertinence to say that he was on the spot at the time and could certify that ut was an accident. You might ha' knocked my roomful down wid a straw. When they heard that 'twas lucky for thim that the boys were always thryin' to find out how the new rifle was made, and a lot av thim had come up for easin' the pull by tickin' bits av grass and such in the part av the lock that showed near the thrigger. The first issues of the tinnies was not covered in, and I myself have eased the pull av mine time, and agin a light pull is 10 points on the range to me. "I will not have this foolishness," says the colonel. "I will twist the tail off Volmia," says he. But when he saw him all tied up and groanin' in hospital, he changed his. "Will make him an early convalescent," says he to the doctor, and Volmia was made so for a warnin'. His big bloody bandages and face, puckered up to one side, did more to keep the boys from messin' with the insides av their rifles than any punishment. O'Hara gave no reason for what he said, and all my roomful were too glad to inquire, though he put his spite upon thim more wearin' than before. One day, however, he tuck me apart very polite, for he could be that at the choosin'. "You're a good soldier, though you're a damned insolent man," says he. "Fair words, sergeant," says I, "or I may be insolent again." "'Tis not like you," says he, "to lave your rifle in the rack without the breechpin, for without the breechpin she was win Volmia fired. I should ha' found the break av ut in the eyes av the holes else," he says. "Sergeant," says I, what would your life ha' been worth av the breechpin had been in place? For on my soul my life would be worth just as much to me av I told you whether ut was or was not. Be thankful the bullet was not there," I says. "That's through," says he, pulling his mustache, "but I do not believe that you for all your lip was in that business." "Sergeant," says I could hammer the life out av a man in 10 minutes wid my fists, if that man displeased me, for I am a good soldier, and I will be threated as such an while. My fists are my own, they're a strong enough for all work I have to do, they do not fly back toward me," says I, looking him between the eyes. "You're a good man," says he, looking me between the eyes, and oh, he was a grand-built man to see a good man, he says, "and I could wish for the pure frolic av ut that I was not a sergeant, or that you were not a privet, and you will think me no coward when I say this thing. I do not," says Roman one, "I saw you when Volmia mishandled the rifle. But sergeant," I says, "take the word from me now, spackin' as man to man, with the stripes off, though 'tis little right. I have to talk, me being what I am by nature this time, he tuck no harm, and next time he may not. But in the end, so sure as Slimmer's wife came into the veranda, so sure will he take harm, and bad harm have thought." "Sergeant," says Roman one, "is ut worth ut?" "You're a bold man," says he, "Brethren had a very bold man, but I am a bold man too. Do you go your way, Privet Mulvaney, and I will go mine." We had no further spash thin or after, but one by another he drafted the 12 av my room out into other rooms, and got them spread among the companies, for they was not a good breed to live together, and the company officers saw ut, they would ha' shot me in the night, av they had known what I knew, but that they did not. And in the end, as I said, O'Hara met his death from Rafferty for foolin' wid his wife. He went his own way too well, too well. Straight to that affair, without turnin' to the right or to the left, he went, and may the Lord have mercy on his soul, amen. "Ear, ear," said Ortherus, pointing the moral with a wave of his pipe, and this is I am, oo would be a bloomin' Vulmia, all for the sake of Mullins, and a bloomin' button. Mullins never went after a woman in his life. Mrs. Mullins, she saw I am one day. Authoress, I said hastily, for the romances of private authoress are all too daring for publication. Look at the sun, it's 6:15. Oh Lord, 3/4 of an hour for 5.5 miles. Well are they to run like Jimmy-O. The three musketeers clambered on to the bridge and departed hastily in the direction of the cantonment road. When I overtook them, I offered them 2 stirrups and a tail, which they accepted enthusiastically. Authoress held the tail, and in this manner we trotted steadily through the shadows by an unfrequented road. At the turn into the cantonments, we heard carriage wheels. It was the colonel's barouche, and in it sat the colonel's wife and daughter. I caught a suppressed chuckle, and my beast sprang forward with a lighter step. The three musketeers had vanished into the night.